Hello, I just want to talk about this topic about families. I think that each person plays a role, like your aunt, your uncle, you have your cousins, nephews, grandma, grandpa, parents, your mom, dad. I noticed that, Asian parent, the way how they raise their kids, it's so harsh feeling and it sucks. I was raised like that. I didn't felt like by my family. So I had to accept it. It was hard, going through a lot. I know it's my life. It remains the same. Nothing has changed at all. I just hope for the best. My goal is just to like move out from my family. I think that dealing with family it's hard because everyone in this personality household is so different, especially like it's kind of hard to communicate. You guys don't get along. Especially like you know that your family behavior starts changing. You can't change them. It's just the way how they are. I think that family were not meant to be getting along. And I was told that it's always good to live on your own or live separately, not live in a big family, which I live in a big family. And this is a case of that. So I remember my aunt she didn't like give a damn about me or my uncles. Like they were really mean to me. They didn't like me. They kind of support my cousin the most instead of me. So, but I didn't care about that because I already know I wasn't like even like liked by my family. You don't. There's like favoritism in this role. I feel like my cousins are like a victim of it because my uncle, my aunt support them, so they kind of love that support. So they kind of like isolate you in a way. It's trying to say they're trying to go against you. And it could be like to like jealousy. When your family sees that you're doing better than them, they get jealous, so they kind of criticize you. It sucks that living Asian culture, it's hard because you deal with all this judging all the time. And like your aunt can like talk smack behind your back and tell your neighbor stuff. And this is Asian culture. Asian people are really nosy people, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not being racist towards it because I'm Asian, I understand where it's coming from. They just don't know how to like limit their boundaries. They cross your boundaries and tell people stuff and it's like personal. I feel like there's no privacy in this Asian culture. I think that they're just nosy people. They just don't know how to understand Americanized way because your Asian parenting ways are like they are born the way how they are. That's how they were raised. That these cultures are like that. I think that people just don't understand what it means in family. To me, family is like about like loving and support, like caring about others. But in my family, they're not like that. We all do our own thing. We hate each other. Stuff like that. And you know I think aunt plays a role where it talks about like they're like your second mother. When your mom's going to work, they're kind of like taking over to take care of you, but they're not your mom, but they're there to babysit you. That's the aunt um roles, what they do. And uncles are just more like, they're not like not like your father, but they're like people that watch the house. They let you do whatever you want. They don't care. Those are uncles' roles. Grandma is more like a person that loves everyone. This person. And the problem with grandma is that she's a middle person, right? Of course, she's in the middle because everyone supports her. Because she's old. So Grandma Rose is like, it describes that she's the main person in the middle. Everyone supports her. Everyone likes her, but that character specific can play other roles too. She can be like backstabbing sometimes. Like grandmother can tell when you tell grandma stuff, right? They tell your mom stuff. They tell aunts, uncle. Everyone gets involved. So she's the main character of that. And then grandpa is like a side of support system. But he just does things on himself. That's a grandpa role. What they do is like he's mostly more busy, keeping himself entertained. He's like whatever he lets you do whatever you want because you're a kid, stuff like that. But to me, like I don't like living in big family because it really sucks and it kind of hurts me. I was going through a lot and I didn't like my childhood life and I can't even change it. Now it's like I realize a lot of things growing up, like what affected me. my uncles, my aunt will yell at me, and I remember, a lot of crazy stuff, but this is personal, but yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys understand what it means to family, and you have to like realize that a lot of things happen in this world unexpectedly. Like there's kids that don't even have a house. Some kids are adopted, especially. Like you have to understand like the world, like what it means the family. Like if you have a family tree and you put yourself where do you belong, if you feel like you're not part of the family, then it means you're isolated. So it feels like you're outside of the shell. It's like you feel disconnected. So that's and you can't change that. Sometimes it's hard. If your family doesn't change, then it's time to move on, right? So that's your choice, is to like move out, and kind of like start your own family and start new life beginnings. So for me, it's like I'm not happy with my life because my dad didn't understand me for seeing like a therapy. He thinks I was crazy, mental ill. I think it's just Asian perspective. They don't understand what is therapy. Therapy is usually good for your family support system because you guys need it, especially if your family doesn't know how to get along. Like my family doesn't believe in therapy. Asian culture, they just don't believe in this crazy stuff. They think that if you talk to these people, they're not gonna help you. What can they do? They're only there to talk out your feelings and support, and that's it. That's what my um parents said, about that in psychology. But yeah, it sucks. Living life is hard. You have to make the best out of it. And I feel like most teenagers that go through this kind of like misconceptions of Asian culture, it sucks because most Asian teenagers feel annoyed with the parents and they just want to move out too. And that's like a common thing because most teenagers want to move out and like live their life and don't want to be distracted by their parents or judging them. And behavior starts changing. And as you grow, you see the changes and experience that you feel in your family and remember the memories. I especially it sucks to be humans that we go through a lot of feelings. I just think that families should just have the boundaries, but they don't in Asian culture. And to be honest, I just don't like being Asian culture because I'm really hurt by it, and it just sucks that I was born being Chinese. Um, so yeah, and I know that sometimes in family culture, their life is hard because they escaped from the war and they kind of like came to America, right? So they're living life harder, and you gotta put it in perspective because what happened if their ancestor passed away, and I feel like they're treating you this way because you're the first generation to change that because you're educated, you're going to school, and my parents didn't go to school, so you gotta think of that conception and perspective. Um, I think that family plays a role, especially it's really broad this topic because I think that when you talk about family, you can relate to culture, traditional, religious, and what you believe in. It's crazy how the world's diverse. I think that all cultures are not perfect in this world, especially families, and it sucks. And some families don't believe in therapy, but you could always change yourself, right? How you think, how you see the world, understand, being nice to people out there, being kind. Um, Especially like I think that our community needs to be more supportive, I guess. Our community, you gotta think about the planet, appreciate the planet. Like trees are really important. It gives us oxygen. We need water to survive too, drinking water, the environment, the community. Like grow sometimes when you grow crops, like vegetables or fruits, it makes your day happy, right? Because you're getting up, you're getting outside, catching some air, and you're growing plants and you love, and it reminds you of something traditional when you pick up like an orange or something. It brings back memories. Yeah. So hopefully this is a really good topic. Put in perspective. I'm not going against anyone about family, but if you're going through something, I'm sorry. Always get support, get mental health. It's really important. Um, Try to like get out of the house more. Like take some walks. Go out and buy your favorite food. Take care of yourself, mentally. It's really important. I think that every year, generation has changed now. And, people's behavior starts changing. So when I say people are changing, it's like their tone of voice, how they speak. So let's talk about tone. So tone is basically like, the way how you talk to people. If you're talking to people really kind, they'll talk to you nicely. If you're really sound really grouchy and mean, people are gonna be like, why are you so mean? So our you have to understand our bodies, the language, the communication, how we speak to others, and giving eye contact. And I think you have to know how to look at others in a different perspective. If you could do that, then you could get along with other people. Sometimes you will have people in your household that are really aggressive, and you can't control the anger. That's their personality. It really sucks. I feel like there's times where people kind of argues with their siblings, or either arguing with their cousins, uncles, or aunt, grandma, or grandpa. Oh, he said that or she said that. It kind of brings drama, and it's like a toxic environment living in a big family. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful. I hope you guys like this topic, what I was talking about, and it gives me an idea, kind of like what I'm trying to like tell about, the society of family. I think family plays a role, how you fit in and how it describes your personality, and how your uncles and aunt think of you and your cousins, you know. Sometimes they think of others like, you're such a jerk, you're so greedy, like those are kind of like misconceptions and judging that they kind of judge bad qualities of a person. Um, Sometimes, family loves it when you buy them food and they feel supported, they feel happy, they're like, oh, thanks, you got me food. Stuff like that. I don't know. I think that there's just a lot to think in perspective in this world, how we perceive things, especially. It really sucks, and I was going through a lot in life. I understand like people's behavior too, especially when if you're talking about genders, then it's a different whole story, because you could walk out there in public places and try to identify people how they are. I think that no one's perfect in this world, because everyone's behavior is different, and I think that has to do with our mental health and our self insecurities. So yeah, gender's role plays like a part of our life, like male and female, especially like in relationships. We're talking about relationships. Is what I'm talking about is that men have their expectation being manly, and the female expectations like, I want, someone that I can trust to date, that's female. So female is like their expectations like, I want like, like a marriage, that she can trust, and then date this guy where he's gonna support her. That's a man role right there. A manly guys like fatherhood. It describes that fatherhood is like dad has the responsibility to support their own child, because of responsibilities, paying bills, going to work. So yeah, I think that there's things that impact this world around us, is how we perceive ourselves and how we look at other people, and especially our family. You can relate so much with genders. When you talk about genders, it kind of like, it's a huge topic, because it's so broad, especially um genders. You could describe it how you want to describe it, how you think of it too. I feel like it's really important, being a human, what it means. And it sucks to be a human, because we go through a lot of emotions. We go through a lot of feelings that are hurt. We get happy, sometimes we get sad. And there's people that are really bipolar disorder. So what's bipolar disorder? Bipolar disorder is basically, it kind of impacts a person, like their mentality, health. So it's sometimes it kind of plays like, if you have a son or a daughter, that they're happy, but then they're angry. So it's kind of like a mixed bipolar feeling. It's kind of hard, and those can, you gotta be careful with that, because bipolar disorder can lead to like suicidal thoughts. And it kind of triggers the brain. Sometimes our mind don't know how to control certain things. When I say it, we don't know how to control certain things, like when we get angry, it's like our energy is going heated up by like the red temperature. So it's like we can control it. It's like we just lash out, we start going crazy, with our mental health. So I think that mental health is really important too. And look at the world differently today, and how you see things. And maybe you could write some stuff down, and kind of like describe yourself, like I'm confident, I'm strong, stuff like that. Those are really good words. You always want to like treat yourself good, and it's always good to journal and look at the world perspective today. And I hope you guys like this video, and please like and subscribe. Thank you.